All right, this is new for me starting this the Hangouts online. I'm trying to figure out how to get the link so I can invite people. This might take a minute now. Oh my goodness. What a dumpster fire. What is going on? How the heck do I I can't figure out how the I can't figure out how the heck to invite people. Oh my goodness. Where is the link to I can't figure I was supposed to have guests on and I totally cut them off because I can't figure out how to work this stupid thing. I guess that this is the link. All right, well, bear with me, everybody, for a second. I'm trying to get some guests on here, and it's taking me a while to figure this out. If you'll just bear with me, unbearables. Everything, of course, is going super slow, and I really would like to be as quick as I possibly can. All right, let's see. I think that this is it. All right, I'm sending out some links so I could get my guests on. All right, I got to get to my email. Do. I'll make sure that next time I have this figured out so not everybody's sitting and waiting. Thank you for stopping in, Baritone. I appreciate it. All right, I sent the link, so hopefully people will be joining me any second now. But anyway, today we were going to talk about guns and freedom of speech because of some recent stuff that's been going on with the Bears lately. If you'll bear with me, I'm trying to get my guests loaded up. I thought that I had it all figured out, but uh, this really took a nosedive really, really quick. So I'm trying to get them back. We had it all set up. I had my guests here, and then I ruined everything. So anyway, hello, Learning Bear. Hello, Baritone. Thank you for tuning in. Hopefully soon I'll be getting my guests back. Uh, anyway, how's everybody doing? I don't know what to do. This really turned into a dumpster fire fast. I'm sending the links out to my guests, but they don't seem to be getting back to me. Oh, here we go. I see what I got to do. This is probably why it's not working. Thank you so much for bearing with me, guys. This is my first time trying to have guests on, so all right, Bear Potatoes, I'm going to send you the link again because I think that the first one didn't work right. All right. It's the last link that I sent you guys. So, hey, thanks for dropping in, Patriot Bear. Oh, shoot. Shiz. All right. I finally figured out how to send the links properly, so hopefully I'll be getting some people joining me real soon. All right. I'm just waiting for my guests.
Hey,
No,
there
I
we go.
know. There we go. Now we got our one guest back.
Yeah, John, he's going through, I guess, drive-through right now, but he was.
Yeah,
You need to send him another email because we thought we were just going to wait on there and sooner or later pop up.
that's what I thought too. But I thought that you had to start Google Hangouts and then press the live stream button on YouTube. But no, when I pressed the button on YouTube, a whole new window opened up with a whole new set of links. So it just took a nosedive real quick, and then it took me a couple minutes to find out in the new window where the new link was to invite people. So I'm sorry about that, guys.
Yeah, no, I already saw the chat. You were just like, people should be showing up.
So bad. I try to be so professional, and look what ends up happening.
Oh, come on.
All right, I guess John will be here in a minute. Sorry, everybody, if you'll bear with us. Also, Zach Brooks is probably going to be joining us in a few minutes. He has to move out of his dorm room into a less echoey space. So, if you'll give him a minute, he should be around.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I'm trying to find the spot on. How do I find this on YouTube? Every time I just get Jethro Tull.
If let me see, I'll send it to you in the email, the link to the actual YouTube.
All right, yeah, that'll work.
I'm emailing it to you right now. Oop.
Yeah, I gotta use my keyboard. That like half the keys don't work, so I'm gonna use the screen.
All right, I sent you the link to the YouTube.
All right, cool. But yeah, I'm actually kind of happy. I feel as good as I do because I think I drank like 10 beers last night. I'm definitely getting it.
That's too many, man. That's too many.
Well, I'm just used to like my friends and I, when we go out partying or whatever, go to a bar or whatever, it's almost just like, hey, I'll buy you a shot. Hey, I'll buy you a shot. Hey, I'll buy you a shot. And then sooner or later, we're all just like, just
Yeah, it
doing
gets
it.
out of hand real quick.
Oh, yeah, sometimes. I'd say I've had the best of times and the worst of times on alcohol.
That's always the case. Only one time did I ever really go out to a bar with some of my buddies. One of my friends from high school, she invited me and a couple buddies out to a bar on New Year's Eve, or was it 4th of July? It was one of those. I can't remember. I think it was warm, so it was probably 4th of July.
Yeah.
But she kept saying, "No, no, no, I'll pay for your drinks. Just have another shot, have another shot." And it was like, I know my limits. I can't keep doing this. I'm going to pass out.
They're like, all right, well, I'll just give you double shots, and then you just could drink less. Do it
I
half
try
the
to be
times.
responsible with my drinking. Doesn't always work out though.
Yeah, I don't even see comments on
U-
here. What's up?
Usually, I try to keep it at I try to keep it at a couple beers. What are you looking up on Firefox?
I'm just YouTube on just Google in general or Internet Explorer.
Yes, Ryan Ritchie. As long as I didn't shoot a hole in our ceiling, I'm good. I'm going to get to that. That's actually kind of part of what I planned on talking
Yeah.
about today. I was waiting for my other guest, but I don't want to keep everybody hanging, so maybe we should just jump into it a little bit here.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
All right. So anyway, it's funny because I wanted to talk about these topics before something happened with the Bears the other day. Uh, I'm not going to give out all kinds of names, but you guys probably already know who I'm talking about. But somebody had a little bit too much to drink on one of the live streams and was being a little irresponsible with their gun handling, and ended up the gun ended up going off. And thank goodness he didn't get hurt, but he very well easily could have. And then it became a big speech, a big argument over free speech. And well, if I want to keep the video up, I'm going to keep it up. And the other half of the Bears were kind of saying that, you know what, that
Yeah,
this
get
might
rid of
look,
it.
yeah, it might get rid of it because this might look bad for Owen. And if you cared about what Owen's trying to do and what the Unbearables are trying to do, you would take this down because it doesn't look good. And I kind of came in at the last minute last night because I kept getting people kept calling me. Hey, John, everybody kept calling me to
You,
invite me into the stream last night, and it was just chaos. It was chaos. I've never seen infighting. I've never seen. I have never seen infighting with the Bears like that before, and it was really shocking. I was just like, "What the hell is going on here?"
Can I give
yeah,
my
no.
opinion on
I
that?
mean,
Yeah, go
the
ahead, John.
founding fathers fought like crazy to write the Bill of Rights because they all care about these things. You know what I mean? So that's a good thing. It's fighting is a good thing as long as we can come to a resolution at the end of the day, or at night,
Yeah.
or a week, or a month, or whatever.
All right, I see that
yeah,
Ryan Ritchie posted in the chat that he clipped out the that section,
Smart.
or oh no, he
no, yeah,
took
good.
down the clipped version and uploaded the full stream this morning. I mean, I guess it's really on him if he feels that it's not a problem. But let's go back to John. What were you saying on this issue?
I feel like there are people that disagree on both sides, but they both believe in the First and Second Amendment. So as long as we have that at the core, then we can talk on an intellectual basis. But if we don't have that, like I keep shouting out Ineffable Earth, like this dude is brilliant. Like he is a historian. He totally understands. And I think what I'm in touch with is people's emotion. And that's why I kept trying to pick up the pieces from both sides. Same with Jason. Jason was trying to do the same thing, pick up the pieces on both sides. Because we know that Bears is one. We could literally, and this sounds crazy, but I keep saying the slogan, Bears alone can survive. Bears and pairs can dominate. But Bears is one can lift the world. I really think we have something here. We really have something here. And we just got to, if someone walks away, you got to, the 99 sheep will keep each other in check. You got to go get that one.
John, I mean not John. I'm sorry. Peter, your opinion?
Honestly, yeah, I agree at least when it comes to removing it. Because the thing is if I thought he was an idiot, then I'd be like, all right, now I'm upset. Like he's not going to learn anything out of this. And I have personal experience. Like I'm into guns, and I don't have it anymore. But I used to have a 1911 where I would dry fire it constantly, and I would unload it, dry fire, practice pulling out the holsters, things like that. And at the time too, I was living with my brother, and he would also, he got a 1911 himself, and he started doing it himself. But the thing was, is that my brother's kind of an idiot, and he had the gun loaded, and he was, he thought he pulled the magazine out, but he didn't take the bullet out of the chamber, and he pointed at my cat, and he shot it, just straight in the chest and killed my cat. And it was just one of those things where, what the hell, I freaked out, he freaked out, and it's like, granted, at least I kind of was trying to teach him, safety, like don't ever point at anything you don't plan on killing. Like that's rule number one.
That's the first rule of gun safety. You always treat a gun as if it's loaded, and if you treat it like it's loaded, you're not going to be pointing it at people or yourself.
And he felt really bad about it. So let me just defend him for a minute. Like he knows he did wrong. So I think we all got to forgive him. And Josh Bear is from a place where they don't even have guns, so he just wants one so bad. I understand all the point of view, and I think we're coming to the right conclusion really, really quickly now because we have honest people. That's the bottom line.
And I'm not trying to rag on him for what happened. I mean, obviously, I know that's not what he intended to do, and it's really not so much about that. And I don't mean to rag on him. That's kind of not where I'm going with this.
I totally understand.
Well, yeah, no. Well, I was just more saying I think he learned his lesson. Like he's not a dumb guy. Right. And once you do that once, I mean, it's a hard lesson to learn, but once you do it once, that's it. Like I seriously doubt he will ever play with his gun drunk or do anything even remotely close to that.
Totally true. Totally true. And you know what? I don't even think you guys mean that. I'm just saying that because there might be somebody listening that might take it the wrong way. So I'm just trying to play a little defense. That's all I'm doing.
Understood.
Yeah. Oh, I have my music playing in the background. I hope you couldn't hear it. I don't want you to get claimed.
I got enough of those already.
Oh my goodness. I had one semi-viral video. It went over 10,000 views, and it was my reaction to the Bills making the playoffs. And I had music playing in the background, so it all got claimed. But it at least pushed me to start doing my YouTube channel again. So, oh well.
Yeah.
Well,
By the way, I wanted to real
guns.
quick if everybody wanted to introduce themselves real quick. John is John Nearai, DJ Christian Bear,
Yeah,
and Peter is Peter.
AKA.
Peter Shea
Bear
is
Potatoes.
Shea, right? Is Bear Potatoes.
Yeah. Hey, good. Most people
if you
say
guys wanted to. No, I'm not dumb. I at least
you ever
had
gone
to
to Shea
pronounce.
Stadium? No.
No.
Nice to meet you guys formally. I got to run. Thanks for letting me jump in real quick, but I appreciate you guys. So keep pushing, Chuck. You're doing a good job, man.
Yeah. Thank you so much, John.
All right, I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.
See you.
All right.
But you know, John, he does a great job. He really tries to support all the Bears, and I know that he was in the thick of all of what was going on the other day.
Yeah, no, I kind of jumped in, I think like one or two of their chats, but it was just like, when there's 7 people talking at once, it was just kind of like,
It gets a little rough.
Go on YouTube or something, or do something else.
And that's why I kind of wanted to start this stream where I have like, 1, 2 guests, maybe 3 guests maximum, so not everybody's talking over each other. So I kind of more wanted to moderate so the guests get a time to talk and give their opinions.
Yeah. Actually, speaking of that, I didn't even see. Oh, no. Still the same comments. Well, since we're talking about guns, I was like, any issues or anything you think that we have just with the current laws we have right now?
Well, me personally, I don't really own any guns. I happen to live in New Jersey, where the gun laws are crazy in some points. But I live out in the country of New Jersey. New Jersey is not all factories. My house is surrounded by 100 acres of preserved open space, so there isn't any factories around
not
me.
In Camden.
No, I'm not in Camden or Newark or Jersey City or something like that. Those are like the only bad areas in New Jersey anyway. But really, I'm not the biggest person to. I can throw my 2 cents in where I have it, but to say that I'm an expert on gun law would be inaccurate, to say the least.
Yeah.
I do feel, though, from what I understand, that I really, because people always jump to when they say the gun laws. Well, do you think that I should be able to get a tank? And what I always like to point to is when they made the Second Amendment, shipping companies actually contacted the U.S. government and said, "Hey, I know that you guys have the Second Amendment. What do you mean? Like, is it okay if I bring a cannon on my ship to defend myself against people that might want to rob me?" And their response in short was, "Hell yeah, you can do that." So I think within reason, you should be allowed to have what you want. I think that there's a lot of hysteria that goes on with semi-automatic and automatic and all this, because a lot of people don't know what that actually means.
That's definitely a big issue with it.
What I always say is their point of view is, "Oh, the boom boom stick goes loud noises, makes me scared."
Well, I think one of the problem is definitely the ignorance. Like, people think you can just go out and buy a fully auto, and it's not, it's something easy to do, which obviously it's not. I mean, I know maybe one guy who does own a full auto, and like, it's one of the pre-bans. It couldn't be. I think if it's a current one, you have to you're supposed to be able to get a stamp and all that, but for the most part, it's just Leo and the military. But then there's also kind of the background, the little loophole like laws and things that people make. And well, I mean, at least from my research and reading on things, like it's really easy to make a fully automatic AR-15 and to make it, you know, a silencer and things like that and put it on your gun. So there are parts where you think it maybe be a little less or more restrictive, I guess, in those cases, but maybe it's not in the news, so no one knows about it, so no one cares.
Yeah. But also, you know, when people like make these issues about gun laws and they bring up straw man arguments like, do you think everybody should be able to get a tank? Well, I mean, come on. The average person is not going to get a tank. But if my next door neighbor had a tank, as long as he's not bringing it over here and shooting it into my house or running over my cars, you know, why should I care? I have strong libertarian slants on things. I just think that some libertarian ideals are not realistic to the way that the real world works, because, you know, they say there should be unrestricted movement, you should be able to do what you want, but that only works if everybody is inherently a good person, and I just feel that inherently people are not good. I think there's a lot of people that strive to be good, but
well, there's a lot
it
of
doesn't
crazy
always
ass
work
people
that
out there.
way.
That's the problem. And it's more too, like, I guess what I was getting at, where, because I keep hearing that where people are like, you can't get a fully auto, you can't get a fully auto, and yeah, you can. Like, the thing is, like, you know, they sell 80% low receivers, so, you know, there's no background check. You have to kind of drill it out. Well, actually, I got one, so I could show a picture. Well, hold on a second.
Take your time. We get a nice view of the ceiling while you're gone. Or I guess now they're looking at my pretty mug. Yeah, Dan Scott is saying in the chat, so we could just have a nuclear bomb then. I mean, come on, so we should take away everybody's guns away because you're gonna say everybody's gonna get a nuclear bomb. It's a really silly straw man argument.
Yeah, no, well, that's just, now you're just going to the extreme. Like, that's just, it's not going to happen. But, like, say, right here, I don't even know if that's popping up. Like, this is a
Yeah,
jig,
I could see it.
and you can see there's a low receiver that's kind of, you know, put on the side of it. It doesn't have any parts that are drilled out or anything just yet. So, for the most part, there's no background check. You know, I mean, you can have felonies, you can have whatever, and you can just get it shipped to your house, no issues. And they also sell on Gunbroker. There's jigs you can get that have the auto shear location, you know, so they'll give you drilling depths of the selector, you know, the safety selector, and then you can install that. And then on top of that, you can actually legally buy, you know, an M4 fully automatic trigger set. You know, there's no background check or anything on that. And then if you put all three together, well, there you go. Now you got a fully automatic gun. And no background check at all, like in any process of that. Or even the silencer part. There's a lot of people who do they call them solvent traps. Hey, what's up, Ben?
You're on here. It says Ben, but that's Zach Brooks.
Okay. Yeah, I saw Ben.
He goes by Ben Kenobi Bear. At the Tenor
right,
Brooks.
there you go.
He's looking. He is looking stunned. He is looking like he has no idea what's going on. Can you hear me? I can hear you, Zach. How will we stop people from getting armed aircraft carriers?
Well, first they got to get a really good job, and then they can actually buy it. Well, I think there was.
I don't know if you can hear me, but I can't hear anything.
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay, I'm still deaf.
All right.
Can't hear.
But
take your time when you figure it out. Make sure I'll send you a message. Why am I talking to him? You can't hear what I'm saying.
Well, yeah, no, I think there was a guy in the UK. He bought.
Make sure that you plugged into the right hole.
and he put it out on his front lawn, and his neighbors and everybody freaked out. Like, you can't have a tank. Like, this is a big problem. Even though he's like this super rich guy, he's not going to do anything with it, and no one's going to get hurt. But I don't know. You know, that's just like looking at the extreme for guns. I think is not necessarily the best way, especially when handguns do all the murdering. I mean, you know, looking at the extreme cases yet, you know, mass shootings, and this is the reason why we need to get rid of guns. Well, that's totally not the reason why you need to get rid of guns. You know, it's violence and culture and things like that are gang stuff. I mean, that's one of the biggest ones.
Well, what I always say is that with these mass shootings, they like to say if they didn't have this weapon, it wouldn't have happened. Well, why don't you look at it the other way? If everybody had a weapon, do you think that they would have gotten as much damage done? Because I think everybody, you know, I really like the castle doctrine, which is, you know, if it's your home, it's your castle, but that only extends to your home. I feel that you at least have a right to protect yourself out in public. And I'm not saying that everybody should have, obviously, like, you know, somebody who's legitimately insane probably shouldn't have a gun. But I think that you get into some dicey territory when you start saying, I feel this person's dangerous, they shouldn't have a gun, and it gets dicey when they start actually laying down laws.
Well, yeah, no, for sure. Because then who's going to determine who's crazy and who's not? Especially right now in our politics, where I think the shit I'm reading is crazy, and you know, their laws are getting passed that are, you know, way off. Oh, all right, it looked like I stopped. Never mind. Well, you're not moving.
Yeah. Oh, I'm still here.
I'm still on. But no, I think that's the thing, is because being able, especially people in Congress and stuff, they have no clue about guns. You know, I mean, there's that one woman who thought a magazine you just got used once and you throw it away. You know, so people like that passing laws, that is just scary. Like, no, I'm definitely more for less restrictions and things like that, but they need to have some kind of common sense to where there's going to be that guy, I think Timothy McVeigh or someone like that, you know, who's really smart and can figure things out, and then really horrible shit happens. You know, besides having like a bump stock or whatever the case is, because you got to get a bump stock. That's just, I don't know. I never bought one. Thought it was a bullet waster for the most part.
Have you figured yourself out yet, Zach? You know what? Oh,
well, now we
stop.
Can't hear him.
Yeah, now I can't hear him. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to eject you for a second from the chat and try rejoining and see if that works, because sometimes the best thing to do is just kick you out and restart.
I can hear you through the speakers. I just gave up my headphones for now.
All right, I can hear you now. Now we can hear you.
Yeah, I had my mic muted.
I got you.
All right, so I missed like everything going on.
Well, we were talking a little bit about, I don't know if you knew what was, I sent you that message about what happened the other day with one of the bears on the live stream accidentally having a little bit too much to drink. So we're just kind of talking about general gun laws and gun safety. And it was a little bit, we were talking a little bit about how, you know, it's your freedom of speech, I guess, if you want to keep the video up, but I think it really does look bad, and I think that you have to consider what the Bears are trying to do and what people like Owen Benjamin are trying to do, because the last thing that we want to do is to make them look bad and hurt our own cause.
Yeah, I'd say because one of the big fights, especially in the U.S., is over the Second Amendment. And gun safety and stuff, that's a kind of a big deal.
Well,
so, I mean, it's up to everyone that was involved whether or not to keep it up. But being big on gun safety and then ending up doing something like that kind of sends out a mixed message.
I definitely agree with that, and I'm not trying to rag on the guy who, you know, it happened to, because I think that he's sorry and he regrets what had happened. So it's really not about that. It's just about preserving our own cause.
Yeah, more making the unbearables not embarrassed, or having a bunch of pedos going, "Hey, check out this video."
Yeah, no kidding.
Man. But yeah, well, I think it's more, well, like, we always say, he just learn his lessons. But I would agree, I wouldn't want it online. I mean, it's not making anybody look good. It's not bringing any kind of awareness to anybody or anything like that, or at least not in a good way.
Yeah, you don't want to bring up gun safety by almost shooting yourself.
Yeah, no. God, am I the only one with just my phone? I see all these fancy mics and stuff.
You see, I'm trying to figure out right now. I accidentally clicked on one of your pictures. It normally favors the person who's talking automatically, but for some reason I clicked on your pictures, and now I can't get it to go back the way that it was. I have to individually click on your pictures to get you guys to show up in the main window. So I don't know what the heck is going on.
You get to learn how to do streaming stuff today.
Yeah, it's a learning curve. That's what they always say.
Yep, I couldn't even figure out how to get in. I figured out Edge was the problem. Edge, it's good for a lot of things, sucks when you try to add stuff to it.
Oh, you know what? I just clicked on something. I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
Well, man, it's a learning curve. You just got to do it, and the more you do it, the more you get it. It's
working now?
Yep, now it's favoring everybody who's talking. That's how it's supposed to work.
Okay. I'm trying to figure out. Do we have anybody watching this right now?
Not too many. There's like 4 people watching, but it's okay. People will probably watch later on. We introduced everybody earlier. John Near I was here for a little bit. Zach, if you'd like to introduce yourself and tell a little bit about yourself.
All right, so you guys know my first name. I'm Zach Brooks. I live in the hellhole known as Tucson currently, and I'm completely deaf in my right ear. There's that kind of stuff going on. But yeah, I'm just a college student trying to figure out stuff to do, really. Found out about the Bears, and I'm like, hey, these guys look awesome. So that's how I ended up here.
I have to say that Zach is very, very smart. When we were having it out with some of the communists on Twitter, he was helping me out a lot because Zach's 17 years old. I don't know if you people realize that, but he's probably one of the smartest Bears that I personally talk to. And
17 in college.
Yeah, he's half my age, and he's so much smarter than I am. So I'm impressed with this kid, and I really think if the Bears need intellectual arguments and stuff like that, tweet him.
He's the guy.
He's the guy.
Thanks for the vote of confidence, Chuck.
Yeah, no problem. I know that you tweet me and stuff all the time for all these arguments. It's just you guys got this handled. You guys don't need me.
Well, Chuck, I've been high school. Yeah.
I thought there was going to be more.
Too. I can brag about that.
Well, you're a mechanic. You're a mechanic, though, and the world needs mechanics.
Excellent. I don't feel bad about myself.
In the chat, Dan Scott wants to know from Zach about any indoctrination he's experiencing in college, and I know he has a few stories because we talk quite often about this. So Zach, if you'd like to take the floor for a minute and tell some of the crazy stuff that goes on at your college, the soy boys that are trying to teach you.
Yeah. There's so much. I experience more from other students than from teachers because the hiring practices here at the U of A are actually really good. All of my teachers for major related subjects are completely apolitical. They just focus on here's what you need to know to actually get along in the world. My gen eds get fairly political. I had one like theater gen ed that I did where literally everybody there, like the whole conversation was dominated by it just being it was basically reverse racism where they were going out of their way to do shit. Like we watched the stuff about Hamilton and they touted all this like racial diversity and stuff. I noticed though that there was one person that stayed white. I don't know if you could guess who.
No.
Why don't you tell us?
Well, it was King George. Out of everybody there, King George, the bad guy, stayed white.
Makes sense.
So yeah, there was that. But yeah,
King George- Good, go ahead.
So here, I don't experience it as much as in other places. Arizona's pretty conservative to begin with, and then the practices of the U of A and ASU, all the colleges here, we have some of the highest acceptance rates in the country. So we don't really have unified opinions on anything. There's been all kinds of different marches and like demonstrations for both sides. And so we probably, honestly, from what I'm seeing now, I think Arizona is probably where it's at for free speech on campus.
Oh, yeah, lucky you.
Hey, that's some good news. But weren't you telling me a story the other day of a particular teacher or a particular student? I can't remember which it was. That was really just really riding the leftist train.
Oh yeah, that was a student, total socialist.
You
I'm
wanna
not
talk about that
sure.
for a minute?
I'm not sure if they were old enough to vote last election. They probably were, and I'm pretty sure they voted for Bernie, who,
Nice.
by the way, I think is a con man, total through and through con man. But anyway, we talked about that a little bit. We've got some pretty differing opinions. We still managed to sit down and have like normal conversation to start. And then as time went on, he got more and more like anti-Trump. Like the more good stuff Trump did, the more pissed off he got. And finally, I talked to him about the State of the Union. He was one of the guys that I talked about the State of the Union with. And he just started going off about how Trump's this, Trump's that. And so I just like walked away. I'm like, I'm done listening to this. I'm done listening to you.
There comes a certain point, and that's how I think you could tell somebody who genuinely is craving for knowledge and somebody who is a little bit more ignorant, is the fact to listen to the other side. Because what do they teach you in debate classes? You need to be able to debate from the other side if you truly want to understand their argument, even if you don't believe it, but that helps you reinforce your own opinions.
Yep. That's why I still talk to people that disagree with me all the time. People that disagree with me, it's just yeah. But yeah, I don't like shut any of that off usually because you got to be able to know what's going on completely. Like you got to know the whole view or everybody's view on stuff, whether it's biased or not.
Dan Scott's actually asking a pretty good question. He's like, why did you go to college?
Well, I kind of have to. I'm majoring in engineering, and you can't really just jump into a job in engineering without going to college.
Yeah, they're not going to hire you.
So I picked the cheapest option that actually had a good program and went with that.
Do the Phoenix Online courses? Yeah.
What's that one, I always really liked that one, I know it's in the Torah, so I assume it's probably somewhere. I'm not Jewish, but, well, not by my religious practices, by my heritage, I'm a little Jewish. But I always like that one quote, I learned much from my teachers, more from my colleagues, and the most from my students. Now, that doesn't mean that your students are smarter than you, but it once again, to know what they're thinking allows you to reinforce your own arguments. And I think that that's something that's really, really lacking in my family is everybody wants to be the smartest. So there's a lot of infighting in my nuclear family, um, which really just gets to me because it just shows the lack to learn, and that's what frustrates me the most.
Yeah, no,
I think
for sure.
I think the biggest thing growing up for me was that my dad always told me to be sure to know you're never the smartest guy in the room. Even if like people say, "Yeah, you're the smartest guy in the room." Don't believe it.
I think
Yeah,
that's
I was gonna say
definitely
also
words of
too with
wisdom.
politics and stuff. Like it's just this is kind of new to me. I've just stayed where cars and hobbies and things like that. And the best way I've learned is just, at least maybe not the best way, but the best way I've learned is just getting in two arguments with people, and then they ask me a question. I'm like, well, I don't know the answer to that, and then read it up, learn it, and then build up my argument or build up my ideas on what I agree with or don't. Because I mean, I used to be pro-choice forever, and then I kept seeing all these YouTube videos on Crowder and stuff like that on why, well, maybe you shouldn't be pro-choice. And then it was like I really couldn't argue it. It just made sense. I was like, well, yeah,
That's
I guess I'm
that's
not
a whole
pro-choice.
nother argument in itself. The whole abortion argument. I'm definitely on the hard right on that issue. That's another thing. I think that you have. You see me. I know what I feel, and I think I'm so burnt out on arguing some of these issues because I've had the same beliefs that I've had since I was in middle school, and I remember arguing with children about some of these issues, and it just seems like nothing's changed. Those people are still children in their opinions, and I've only reinforced my beliefs tenfold because of it. But really, that's why sometimes when I get into these arguments, I just don't have the energy for it. I direct it to other people to come out with the points and to make those intellectual arguments because I mean I know I'm right, but I don't have to know every intellectual point of your point of view, which kind of goes against what I was just saying earlier. But but that's why like I'm not one to I'm still friends with people on my Facebook and Twitter who don't share any of my opinions, and sometimes it's just to see what they're saying so I can keep up with their narrative.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, like my roommate right now, she's heavy left, like heavy, heavy, heavy left, and we got in a few like conversations. I'd almost just say turn into arguments, and like I said, it depends on the person. If they know what they're talking about, then I like it, even if they oppose me, because then I'll learn on why maybe I should rethink of what I'm thinking about or whatever the case may be. But when it just is just total nonsense, I've just those people. I stopped talking politics. It's more, what's the weather? How are you feeling
Yeah.
today?
I've
Eh.
I've only ever I've only ever unfriended one person on Facebook, and it's because their posts just got so morbidly left. Like just total pro-abortion all the way through, like no
Fetuses.
stop gaps for anything. And it got so morbid. I started getting depressed just going on Facebook. And I'm like, Facebook shouldn't be making people depressed.
I'm
Yeah, no, for sure.
totally, I'm like totally off of Facebook now.
Yeah.
I've the more I start using Twitter, the more I start loving it a lot more. I used to be big on Facebook, but now it's just I can't even bother to open it because of those issues. That I a lot of those people that I'm friends with that are on the left are on Facebook, and all it takes is a glance to know where they stand. For instance, I have one friend who's a local musician here, and all the time it's always how like he was. It's funny because he was saying how under Trump's new tax plan, his taxes are going to go up, but he's a leftist. If you had voted for who you wanted to, your taxes were going to go up regardless. So, first of all, I don't really believe what he has to say because I kind of know him a little personally, and I don't think he's making that much money where his taxes are going to go up. So I think he's just BSing because it fits his narrative.
Yeah. For me, Facebook, the reason I still have Facebook is for close friends and family. Because I know how, oh, geez, I know how they are. And there's like, I just use it to keep up with them, make sure everybody's okay, stuff like that.
Yeah, I was gonna say I never even started a Facebook. I was living out in the middle of nowhere, working at a white water rafting company. I think when MySpace came out, and then it just kept morphing, and I was just like, nah, I don't want any part of it.
When I started all that stuff is when I was in college because all that was brand new. And literally the only reason I got it is because a buddy of mine in college was like, at the time we were both single, so he said you got to get on these websites because it's a good way to meet girls. So that's literally the only reason why I even got them. And then eventually I met my wife and got married, and then once you get married, the um, the usefulness of Facebook, I think especially, really starts to taper off. I think Twitter is a lot more geared towards the older crowd because people tend to get a lot more political on there. Not that people don't get political on Facebook, but I just like the presentation on Twitter a lot better.
It forces you to argue.
Yeah, I mean,
In
and
a
a
way,
lot of
yes.
people put out opinions
Yeah.
like crazy on Twitter. 'Cause, yeah, again, like I was saying,
Facebook lets you rant.
I've only been doing it for like 3 weeks, but yeah, like I forget who it was. Someone was like like we can start a little chat and meet people and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, yeah, that might be a good idea. But I've tried, dating someone who lived an hour away from me, and that didn't really work out. Everybody else is like 1,000 miles away. Yeah, all right, yeah, that part of Twitter is probably not going to happen.
Yeah, that's doesn't work.
Yeah, no.
The
But yeah,
people.
Facebook totally. What was that?
Go ahead.
Oh, well, Facebook totally lets you rant. I've seen like essays written by people on Facebook that just say nothing. Like you read it through and it says nothing, and so
in a way that's in a way that can be good. I feel like Twitter is much more of the bumper sticker statements. You're only allowed so many characters, so you have to try to make
yeah.
your point as succinctly as possible.
Yeah, there's good and bads about each of them. The good about Facebook is you can get a complete thought out before somebody responds to you. The bad is that it obviously you can just rant and nobody listens because you've said nothing. And Twitter, it's the same way. The difficulty with it is that since you aren't able to get your entire thought out, sometimes people will focus on one thing, and then all of a sudden you get into a shouting match.
Once again, I have to do a shout out.
Thank
Thank you, Brian. He just gave me a subscription on my Twitter. Not my Twitter. I'm sorry, my YouTube. And another thing I wanted to address was Dan Scott in the chat was talking about Night for Freedom. I don't know if anybody's familiar with that, but if anybody has any more information on that, where it's located, when he said it's in about 2 weeks. But if anybody's
They're doing
interested in
another
that,
one of those.
I suppose so. In about 2 weeks, Dan Scott says in the chat. I don't know what area he's in or whether they're doing them all over the place. If you post it in the chat, I'll be sure to talk a little bit more about that.
Well, quickly for me, what is Night for Freedom? I've never even heard of that before.
Cernovich threw a big old party for the anniversary of Trump's inauguration and called it Night for Freedom. Owen Benjamin was invited to it and joined in, told a bunch of jokes. Michael Malice was there. I think Molyneux and a couple others were there. I can't remember everybody that was there, but
even Chelsea Manning showed up, but that was just because she was trolling.
And then they trolled her back.
I'm sorry. Oh my God, he was trolling. I can't believe I just did that.
Then they trolled it back.
Yeah.
I was about to say, didn't you like take a bunch of pictures with quote unquote alt-right people and stuff like that, and then
Oh yeah,
his own crowd kind of didn't like him?
alt-right's a buzzword anymore.
Yeah,
I
no,
don't even know what it meant originally. When they first started saying alt-right, I wasn't actually sure what they were talking about. I'm like, what is alt-right? Are you just calling the right alt-right to make them sound more threatening?
I think it's a little bit of that, and I think it's also a little bit of people like, for instance, Dave Rubin, who used to be a leftist, and obviously he's a homosexual. You know, people like them coming around to more right-minded ideas. They like to label those people as alt-right because they've just realized that the left is so totally crazy that they have to distance themselves from them. So it's like,
Yeah.
oh no, we lost one of our guys. You're alt-right. You know, I think it's a little bit of that, but it's basically like if you have any. I was talking about this a little bit earlier, and it seems like, and this is what scares me because I remember back when like George W. Bush was president, the narrative was everybody needs to come together to more centrist ideas. And now the pendulum is really just swinging so wildly, especially for people who are on the left, that if you are not crazy hard left, you're considered right, alt-right, or alt whatever other name they want to attribute to it.
Nazi.
Yeah, exactly. Nazi,
Hitler.
yeah, fascist.
Definitely Hitler.
If you were not like a straight up communist in by today's standards, by the left, they like to label you, and I think that's all it is labels.
Yep.
Well, I also remember too is I think it was started by people who were just conservative and legit, not like crazy. But then a lot of people in the KKK type people and all that started joining in on it, and then that's when it just morphed into pretty much just white supremacy,
Yeah.
shit like that.
We need to be as good as coming up with labels as the left is sometimes, but also at the same time not. It's because we could say whatever about ourselves and people just ignore it. It's weird. The way the left works is just weird.
Well, yeah, they'd be like, whatever, Nazi. And he's like,
Yeah,
okay.
it's all collectivism.
Dan Scott says in the chat that the Night for Freedom is on the 24th in DC, and Molyneux is headlining the event.
Well, yeah, I'm kind of 2,000 miles away from that, so
Yeah, that's close enough for me where I could go if I wanted.
Yeah, no, it's way far away from me. Unless I want to visit my parents. Nah.
Yeah, I'm a little too far away from that. That would be like a week-long thing.
Yeah, that would be like a mini vacation you would have to take to make that possible.
Yep. And of course, my spring break isn't till March, so that's not happening.
Yeah. But a lot of these like leftist issues, that's what scares me, is that because there's such a big divide, that I think that I just hope that there's not enough of these people on the left to muscle out Trump in the next election. Because I always say, because people like to bring up issues of Trump's past whenever they want to like fight with me about him, and it's like, look, Trump isn't a god to me. I
watched the last 4 elections, or maybe not, no, the last 3 elections. I didn't see Bush's re-election, but in every single one of those elections, the person or the side that lost was the side that said only so-and-so can win. Like, the conservatives lost in 2012 because Republicans said only Mitt Romney can win against Obama. And then he went off and made the Etch-a-Sketch let his campaign advisor make the Etch-a-Sketch conservative comment and all kinds of other comments that totally tanked him. And so when I see the left saying only so and so can win, whether it's people saying only Bernie can win or only etc. can win, I see that as they are failing and they're trying to figure something out.
Yeah, overcompensate.
I think that's a very positive outlook, and I admire that. But I keep thinking back to Obama got elected for 2 terms in a row, and that's the kind of thing that scares me. Because I know that people like Owen Benjamin said that he voted in the first election for Obama, but that's
I
what it
voted
took.
too.
Yeah, that you see, and it's funny because I didn't vote. My first election was Bush's reelection. I didn't vote for Bush because I didn't think that he was a true conservative. I didn't vote for Obama. So literally, this is the first election that I voted for the guy that actually ended up winning. And it was not because I felt that Trump was a true conservative, but it got to the point when I had to think, there's no way I'm ever going to vote for the left because people try to say that to me all the time. Why don't you vote for this guy if this guy's more libertarian or this guy's ABC? Well, you know what? I'm never going to vote for the guy that wants to kill babies in the womb, that wants to raise my taxes. Those are issues that you're just never ever going to win me on. So I'm never ever going to be on that side. At least I don't think that Trump really is like a 100% conservative, but he's fighting for my side right now. So I have to take the good with the bad. And, I'm much more on like the Ben Shapiro end of my opinions on Trump.
Yeah,
Well, I think
I
I was gonna say I think it's more like just like I was saying. I just got into politics recently, and there's a lot of people who are like me, 3 months ago or whatever, 4 months ago, where I just watch TV. I just see what they say on there, and they're like, Obama's the greatest. And, I watch late night comedy shows and I watch Saturday Night Live. And it's just one of those, in a way, it's brainwashing, but it's accepting because it's just easier to be like, oh, well, everybody likes it. So obviously, it can't be that bad. But then when you start doing your own kind of research and reading and then you're like, holy shit. I mean, like my job, for example, I don't work at a place where everybody's hard left. A lot of people would say they're hard right or they're at least right leaning. But still, if you talk to them, they don't really know anything about anything. And I mean, most of them now are looking at me like I'm batshit crazy when I start bringing up stuff about transgenders and they're messing with kids and things like that. They're like, no, no, like that can't. That's not happening. I don't see that on the news. That's not how it is.
yeah.
And I agree with Dan in the chat because Dan in the chat is saying that Trump may not be a true conservative, but he's literally done more conservative actions than any president ever.
Yeah.
And that's why I voted for him because I felt that he was the tool for the job right now.
Keep in mind, he didn't classify himself as not conservative. He didn't classify himself as populist. The media did that.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody else around him tried to say who he was.
Yeah.
And so just keep in mind, every time that somebody says he's a populist or whatever, just remember that they say that, not him.
Yeah, I totally agree because I'm on the Trump train. You know what I mean? But like I said, he's not a god to me. People bring up issues of his personal life, and the biggest issue that I have is when they say he went bankrupt. You ever hear the term "nothing ventured, nothing gained"? I mean, so he's a scumbag because he tried to do something and it didn't work out. I mean,
My dad
right
had
now,
a business that my dad had 2 businesses go bankrupt, and I kind of know. Seeing that, I kind of know the thought process that goes into stuff like that. And so there's a lot, like we just see he went bankrupt. And we don't see all the different things that were going on at the time. Maybe he had like a business partner that was totally toxic to what he was doing. And so he had to get rid of him somehow. I mean, there's so many different things that go into going to accepting that happening?
When I started my first business, it was a masonry company, and this was during when Bush was president. And at the beginning, there was a little bit of a boom, and I thought, wow, this is going to go great for me. And then what ended up happening is there was a big collapse, and nobody had any money, so nobody was. My specialty was building brick mailboxes. I mean, people weren't playing everything close to the vest. They weren't ready to lay down a bunch of money to get pillars and mailboxes and masonry work done. So what ended up happening is I ended up putting a lot of my expenses on credit cards, and that only gets you so far before if you don't have the business to pay off the bills. I was in a spot where literally I would have spent the rest of my life paying off my debt. So I had to go bankrupt. Am I a scumbag because I tried to do something and it didn't work out? I tried my best. It just didn't work. So I went bankrupt. So I said, you know what? It's better for me to go bankrupt and spend 7 years of having my credit hurt a little bit, because at least then I'll be able. It's better for me to start from scratch than to work the rest of my life trying to pay off that debt. And that's why bankruptcy is there. It's there to protect you. That's why it's written into the law. So for you to point fingers and say somebody's so bad for taking advantage of that, I mean, you're never going to get me on issues like that.
Yep. And like I said, it's crazy the amount of thought that goes into going bankrupt when that's an option that's on the table.
Yeah,
because
I actually had quite a few friends who had to do it as a mechanic. I used to work at Nissan, a dealership, and that 2007, 2008, 2009, even 2010, like everybody there got hit hard. Like no one wanted to fix their car, no one wanted to get anything really done to it. And the guys that there's like top maybe 3 or 4 guys that were making 100-something thousand a year, 120 average. They went down to about like 60,000. And they've already bought all their toys and their cars and all that kind of stuff. And then it was just like, yeah, I got to file for bankruptcy. I can't do any of this. Like, I can't afford anything. And that wasn't even them doing businesses or anything. It was just their job. Just decided, well, we're going to cut your pay in half.
It's definitely rough. People think that I think the stigma is that, oh, you just went bankrupt because you're trying to shirk your responsibilities. And that's not it, and it totally ignores other factors that may come into play. I mean, it's not about trying to shirk your responsibilities. It's just, like I said, I tried to build a business. It didn't work, unfortunately. So I didn't want to spend the rest of my life just paying off my accumulated debt, because then I really would have never got anywhere. And now I subcontract, and I'm doing all right for myself, except I do want to get away from the kind of work I'm doing now because I'm physically suffering from it.
Yeah, I was about to say masonry doesn't sound fun, at least not to the body.
Well, right now I'm kind of still doing masonry. I do basement waterproofing and mold remediation. The basement waterproofing is a lot of lugging, buckets of concrete and stuff like that around, which is my hip already hurts me like I'm a 65-year-old guy. So that's why I don't really like that aspect of it. And jackhammering isn't good for. I'm a musician too. Jackhammering is not good for your hands. And then on the mold remediation, on the mold remediation side, I'm spraying chemicals and stuff. Sure, I wear a respirator and a mask, but I mean, it says on the jug you're not even supposed to get that stuff on your skin, and it's kind of almost impossible to not to. And it says right on it, may cause cancer. Do I really want to be around that stuff for the rest of my life? I have 2 twins. Not 2 twins. I have twins. Twins are already plural. But I have twins. I want to be there for them, and I don't want to be a physical old man by the time I'm 32 years old. By the time I'm 42, I don't want to be so ancient where it's like, all right, Sonny, throw me the ball, but not too hard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'm addicted to pain pills to function.
When my dad was your age, I was like, let's see, he was 27 when I was born, so that would have put him, or that would have put when he was 32. That would have been I was like 5, and at the time that I was born, he had been dealing with the same issue. He's like, I'm about to have a kid. I don't want to be totally just dead from installing fire protection systems my whole life when my son is old enough to, or for me to actually um, like teach him and be there, or and be a father. And so
Honestly,
he went.
to counteract it at least, because this is my field. That's what I do. I work with around asbestos all the times with brake systems and definitely tons of chemicals and things like that. It's more the safety measures your job gives you. I got a straight up safety mask, that will no chemicals will get in while I'm brake cleaning stuff, or granted, or if I got to spray down, brake dust and stuff like that. But I think it's more beating up your body. Like, I don't know how many guys I've seen where their knees are shot because you got to lean on concrete constantly. But
Yeah.
you get knee pads, it could be better. But construction, like you're saying, hauling buckets and things like that, you do it all the time. Yeah, it'll tear you apart.
Yeah. And it's also getting to the point for me where, I'm making pretty good money now, but do I really want to give, because pretty soon my wife is going to have to go back to work. Do I really want to give half of my pay away to a babysitter? Because, and because then I'll really, if I have to do that, then it's really not worth the work anymore. I'm going to be tearing myself up physically to pay the babysitter, and it's not worth it. It'd be better if I just stayed at home and watched my babies and let my wife go back to work, because she's the one who has the great benefits and stuff. And that's actually what she always tells me. It's like a father's dream. She always says, I want you to be a stay-at-home dad and I want to work.
Yay.
It's what my parents did. My dad, when I was from second grade to about probably 7th grade, my dad was a stay-at-home dad because he could work from home. And then my mom went to college and got her physical therapy degree. And I think if you know your craft intricately enough, there's plenty of things that you can go into that where you can still work from home.
Yeah. Well, that's what I want to do, because I've always been I'm a fairly good lead guitar player, and that's really what I want to do. But I mean, if I could figure out a way where I could stay home and make something on the side, somehow doing political talk and chats, or doing my music, I'd much rather do that, because that's really what I'm passionate about. These live streams and stuff are more of a hobby. I'm trying to bolster an audience too, so because YouTube is, as everybody knows, there's a lot of the bears are trying to keep their monetization. YouTube wants you to have 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of watched videos, so you can keep your monetization. So I'm not really making that much money as it is. I'm probably not going to hit that goal. John Neareye keeps telling me, no, you're going to hit it if you believe it. You know what? It's just not going to happen. It's all right. I will.
Yeah.
I will let that go.
Mindset. Just keep going with it.
Yeah, I'm just going to keep going, just even as a hobby. And then if one day I hit the 1,000 subscribers and people want to tune in, I mean, fantastic. I love to keep doing this. I might have more time for it too if I'm going to be a stay-at-home dad.
Yeah. YouTube is definitely pricing themselves out of their own market. It really seems.
When I first started, well, I got my YouTube account right when YouTube had first started, and I was eligible for monetization almost immediately. And my small claim to fame is that it's just really, really stupid. This is a really lame claim to fame, but I was the first person on YouTube to put up a cover of the end theme to Ren and Stimpy. It's called Big House Blues. It's an actual song. But I was the first person on YouTube to actually put up the video, and it's just so funny watching it now with the crappy the crappy camera, the crappy sound quality. But I left it up because it's like, you know what? I was the first person to do that, you know?
That was everybody on YouTube at that point, though, was crappy sound quality, crappy video, because they didn't really know where it was going to go at first.
And also,
the
who,
internet
you know,
connections are the worst too.
as a 15, 16-year-old kid, I didn't have like money to be able to go and buy fancy webcams or anything else like that. So I did what I could with what I had. And it's just neat as kind of like a time capsule to go back through my video feed and see all those things that I made when I was younger. Some of them are kind of embarrassing. Some of them are still okay, but you know, it's just neat to go back and see, you know. But the fact that YouTube, the reason why they started the monetization and stuff was to give people like that an opportunity to try to build something. And then for a while, you know, life got in the way. I had to go to work and stuff. So, I mean, I left the YouTube alone for a while. And now I'm getting notifications that really they give you like an impossible dream. How am I ever going to hit this goal?
Then once you hit the goal, they move it farther.
Yeah, exactly. You know, that's kind of the issue. And also, you know, I never really made any money anyway. I mean, I'm talking like I think the most I ever got paid out from YouTube was $2. So,
Yeah.
but I mean, at least it was something. I mean, at least it was a possibility. And I was doing $2 though on like a couple hundred views of something. So, I mean, but I thought that was the idea. You build your audience and it gets more and more and more.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know what YouTube's thinking. It's probably because of the fact that they're pretty much a monopoly. And so that's the worst thing with a monopoly is that they can just do whatever they want and nobody can say boo.
Yeah,
Which is
I'll
why
definitely
we
give them
got
that.
rid of them in the early 19th or in the early 20th century, like late 18th, early 20th.
Yeah, yeah. There's I would say for the average Joe, there is nothing that rivals YouTube. I mean, there's other video streaming things out there, but they're kind of more for programming for TV and movies and
Yep.
stuff. Really, there is no independent thing to rival YouTube right now. Maybe that's something that the Bears should start getting into, creating our own YouTube and moving all of our content over there since they're giving us all these impossible goals.
Just give the big old middle finger to YouTube.
Yeah, that's what like Steven Crowder and stuff did. That's why they created Mug Club and why Ben Shapiro
They had
has. Yeah, because that's the only way that they were, because they kept removing, even when they were hitting their goals, they were taking away the monetization because they didn't like the content.
Yep.
So
They still delete the live streams and stuff. He has to put them up again the next day. It's not like they just stay there.
I think that they just recently hit Steven Crowder with like 5 at once, and for no reason. And then a couple days later, they sent him an email. Oh, well, we reviewed it, and you didn't do anything wrong, so we're putting them back. You know, but I mean, it's
How
the
much
thing
did he
that
lose?
I don't know, but
That's the argument though. Is how much did he lose?
probably a lot. I would assume because I mean they were brand new. It was brand new content that he had put up, and you know, people want to go and watch it right after it comes out while it's still fresh in their minds. So they took it off for, you know, a few days when is the prime time for people to go back and rewatch it. So really, you know, they're doing those things purposely just to
At some point, when will this all get to be like a or like a enough for a lawsuit?
Well, that's the thing is, I
Because
remember
there's actually
Rogan a lot where he had to pay a lot of lawyers, and like he constantly is just going back and forth with lawyers and YouTube, like, no, you can't take this down, and I won this court case, you need to have it going on, and they'd be like, oh, okay, and they'd still demonetize it and just take money away from them pretty much.
Yeah,
But,
and that's another thing, because once again, that's getting back to what I was saying earlier, that if you're not hard commie left, they want to do anything they can to keep you down. which is, whatever happened to the reaching across the aisles? There's no reaching across the aisles anymore. Not that I really want to, because I don't agree with those people and I think that they're insane. I literally think, as I'm a religious individual, um, so I'm never going to be on the side of someone. I mean, I agree with the original liberal principle that, I don't agree with what you're saying, but I'll defend your right to say it, because my feeling is that,
That's a constitutional principle.
yeah, I mean, God doesn't force you to do anything. He doesn't force you to worship him. Sure, there will be consequences eventually, but he doesn't force you to do anything on this earth. So who am I to force you to do anything? And that's where my libertarian perspective comes to. But I have to draw a line when laws are being made that are directly affecting my life. So no, so I'm trying to abide by some of these libertarian perspectives as best as I can, but when there's people that are actively assaulting me in the things that I would like to do and making it harder for me to get by and live, I have to draw a line. And that's why I think because like a lot of libertarians are really big, especially on like border issues, and there should be the free movement of people. Well, that's all good if everybody has, Judeo-Christian ethics, and everybody is inherently good or thinks that there's consequences. But when there's gangs like, MS-13, or is it M13?
MS-13.
MS-13. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, when there's gangs like MS-13, I mean, things like that exist in the world. There can't be any open borders, because they'll say, great, they're going to be stupid enough to open up their borders. I'm just going to walk right over and just start stealing shit from people,
Open borders only works in a collectivism, or in collectivism. Because if everybody views things the same way, if they all think the same way, then a one world order works. The way that we are now, we all have different needs. We all have different places that we live, and we don't have the ability to.
That's the other thing, is that, I'm glad that you brought up one world order, because not that I'm a conspiracy theorist, but I am not for the idea of a global government, because it is not. If anybody who advocates for a global government think that it's somehow going to work in favor of the people, they're fooling themselves. It's not going to work that way.
Ever read Liberty and Tyranny by Mark Levin?
No, but I do listen to Mark Levin. I'm not as well read in political literature. I'm more well read in classic English literature. I really love books from the turn of Old English to like modern English, like stuff like it's funny. I always use this is why I really wanted to be an English teacher, and that's what I was actually going back to college to accomplish. But life got in the way, and I had to go back to work. But I'm fascinated by, if you read two classic examples are Frankenstein and Dracula. Frankenstein was written right at the beginning of where like you can actually understand what they're saying, and the language is very flowery and poetic because that's the way people spoke. You read Dracula, which was written like 100 years later, and it sounds like somebody you're talking to now, but it was written in like the 1800s as well. So it's funny, from the early 1700s, the late 1700s to the early 1900s, to see how much the language changed is just amazing. I'm sorry, I went off on a little bit of a tangent there, but that's my area of expertise.
I gotta dip out, so I guess I'll catch you guys later. Chuck,
I think. Yeah, God bless. Thanks for dropping by. I think I actually gotta start wrapping this up too.
Yeah.
Oh. All right, man. We gotta take it easy.
Take it easy, man.
Take it easy, everybody. Thanks everybody on YouTube who decided to tune in. Rewatch if you liked what you heard here. Subscribe. I usually try to do this once a week. Normally, I like to broadcast on 8 p.m. on Fridays. I wasn't able to do that this week because there was some issues with other broadcasts going on, and I didn't want to step on anybody's toes. But if you like what you heard, if you liked what the Bears had to say, make sure that you subscribe to their YouTubes and their Twitters. And God bless. Subscribe, hit the like button, share, and have a great day.